Welcome to Course '09 of the MaxLife Commercial Academy. I'm Ryan Solberg, real estate broker with MaxLife Commercial. And today we're covering one of the most important skills in this business, finding deals before everyone else does. The investors and brokers who win consistently are not the ones with the most capital. They're the ones with the best sourcing systems. By the end of this course, you'll have a repeatable playbook for building deal flow across multiple channels. Let's get into it. Here is the honest truth about where commercial deals actually originate, and the numbers will surprise most people who are new to this business. Only about 10% of the deals worth doing come from the public listing platforms that everyone knows. LoopNet, for example, is where sellers go when they want maximum exposure, which means maximum competition and maximum pricing. That said, public deals are not worthless. We'll talk about how to use those platforms strategically. About 30% of real deal flow comes through the broker network. When a property owner decides to sell, the first call is often to a trusted broker, and that broker calls their buyer list before anything goes public. That is why broker relationships are not optional. They are your most important sourcing channel. Another 35% comes from direct to owner outreach, cold calls, letters, conversations you initiate with owners who have not listed anything. This channel requires the most effort and the most patience, but it produces the best pricing because you are the only buyer in the room. Finally, roughly 25% of real opportunities come from distress, owners under financial pressure, estates being settled, 1031 exchange deadlines, or anchor tenants leaving a center. When you know what to look for, you can find these situations before they are obvious to the market. Building a broker network is not about collecting business cards at a mixer. It is about creating relationships where another professional benefits from calling you. Let's walk through the key players. The listing broker is the gatekeeper. They represent the seller, and if they trust you to close, they will call you before the property is formally marketed. Investment sales brokers specialize in income producing properties and are your most direct pipeline for N&N deals, retail centers, and stabilized assets. Tenant rep brokers represent expanding businesses. When a Dollar General or a regional gym is looking for space, the tenant rep knows first. That is demand side intelligence that tells you where to look for supply. Industrial specialists, land brokers, and property managers each carry submarket knowledge that is not available anywhere publicly. And do not overlook lenders and title officers. They see the transaction pipeline earlier than almost anyone. The key to activating these relationships is simple. Be a buyer who closes. When you make an offer, mean it. When you say you're interested, follow through. Brokers share deals with people who make them money and stop sharing with people who waste their time. Let's talk about the actual mechanics of a broker outreach call because most investors do this wrong. The number one mistake is calling a broker cold with no context and asking, "Hey, got anything good?" That is not a relationship. That is noise. Here is what works. Before you pick up the phone, spend 5 minutes on their firm's website and CoStar profile. Know what asset types they focus on, what submarkets they cover, and if possible, what they've closed recently. When you call, lead with your criteria. Tell them exactly what you buy, the asset type, your target geography, your price range, and roughly when you want to close. Then tell them how you close, whether that's cash, a 1031, a specific lender relationship, or an equity partner. That credibility matters immediately. Then ask the right question. What have you seen that hasn't gone to market yet? That question signals you're sophisticated and ready to move fast. After the call, if they send you anything, even something you pass on. Respond within 48 hours with specific feedback. Tell them why it didn't fit. That feedback loop is what turns a cold contact into a trusted buyer relationship. And when you close a deal, circle back and tell them. Brokers want to know who the real buyers are, and closing proof is the best marketing you have. Let's clear up how these platforms actually fit into a sourcing strategy. LoopNet is the public marketplace. Think of it like the MLS for commercial. It is heavily trafficked, which means deals are competitive, but it is not useless. The secret to LoopNet is not finding new listings, it's watching the old ones. When a property sits for 90, 120, 180 days, and the price gets reduced, the seller's psychology has shifted. That is your moment to engage. Crexi has grown into a serious platform with a large volume of active deals, especially in the Sun Belt. It also runs auctions, which can surface motivated sellers in a structured format. CoStar is the institutional layer. It is expensive, but it carries compy data, ownership records, and lease expiration data that the free platforms do not have. If you're serious about this business, CoStar Access is a line item worth budgeting. Reonomy is your direct-to-owner tool. You input property criteria, asset type, geography, ownership structure, equity position, and it surfaces owner names and contact information. That is how you move from I want to buy a strip center in Brevard County to having a list of 40 owner phone numbers to call next week. Used together, these platforms are an intelligent system, not just a listing board. Direct to owner outreach is where the highest quality deal flow lives, and it is the channel most investors skip because it requires patience. Let's break down exactly how to execute it. Start by building a list. Use Reonomy, CoStar, or your county property appraiser's public records to identify properties that match your criteria. Asset type, location, size range, and ideally owners who have held the property for 10 years or more. Long-term holders often have significant equity, sometimes no mortgage, and may be approaching a life event like retirement or estate planning that creates motivation to sell. Your cold call script does not need to be complicated. Introduce yourself, say you're a commercial real estate investor or broker focused on that specific area, and ask one simple question. Have you ever given any thought to selling or doing something with the property? Then stop talking. Listen. The goal of the first call is not to negotiate a deal. It is to determine whether there is any openness. Most people will say no. A few will say maybe. Some will say they've actually been thinking about it. Those conversations are gold. For direct mail, write one page. Reference the specific property by address. That shows you did your homework and you're not blasting a generic letter to 10,000 people. Keep your contact information prominent. Follow up by phone 2 weeks after the letter arrives. Then put them on a 60 to 90-day drip. The owner who says, not right now, may be your best deal 18 months from today. This channel only works if you are consistent. Distress does not always mean a foreclosure notice on the door. Most of the time, it is subtle. A situation in an owner's life or balance sheet that makes selling attractive right now, even if the property itself is fine. Let's walk through the 6 types you need to know. Loan maturity is one of the most common and most overlooked. Commercial loans typically mature every 5 to 10 years. When rates have risen or the property's income has dropped, refinancing may not pencil. The owner is suddenly motivated to sell rather than face a balloon payment they cannot service. Track CMBS maturity schedules. They are publicly available and give you a preview of pressure that is coming to specific assets. 1031 exchange deadlines create motivated buyers who will pay to close on time. When you see a large commercial sale in your market, that seller has a 45-day identification window, and a 180-day closing deadline. Be in front of the right properties before that clock runs out. Anchor tenant vacancies are loud signals in the retail sector. When a major tenant leaves a center, values drop and sellers sometimes want out before the painful releasing process. Watch CoStar lease expiration data. Estate and probate situations create heirs who want liquidity, not management responsibility. County probate filings are public records. Partnership disputes and out-of-state owners round out the list. Both create sellers who prioritize simplicity over maximum price. Everything we've covered in this course only produces results if it's executed consistently. A single cold call campaign does not build deal flow. A weekly routine that you run for 12, 18, 24 months that builds deal flow. Here's the cadence I'd recommend. On Monday, spend 30 minutes reviewing the platforms. Look at new Crexi listings. Check LoopNet for price reductions and properties that have been sitting. Update your saved searches so your alerts are tuned to your current criteria. On Wednesday, make your broker calls. 2 to 3 contacts per week sounds modest, but that's over 100 broker touch points per year. You're not trying to call everyone every week. You're rotating through a list and staying top of mind. Thursday is your direct owner outreach day. 5 to 10 calls or letters. This is the highest leverage activity in your week, and it is also the one most people skip because it is uncomfortable. Do it anyway. Friday is Intelligence Day. Spend 20 minutes reviewing county records, LLC filings, and public sales data. What sold this week? Who bought it? Any distress signals? This habit compounds. After 6 months, you will have a picture of your market that no platform can replicate because you built it yourself through consistent attention. That market awareness is what allows you to move fast when the right deal appears. At MaxLife Commercial, we work with buyers and investors who are serious about building this kind of sourcing discipline. If you want help developing your system, reach out to us directly at 321 586 2121 or visit maxlifedevelopment.com/academy. That wraps up Course 09, Finding Commercial Deals. Let's recap the 4 things I want you to walk away with. First, understand where deals actually originate. Broker networks and direct owner outreach are where the real opportunities are, not the public listing sites. Second, invest in broker relationships before you need them. Be the buyer who closes, who responds quickly, and who gives feedback. That reputation is your deal pipeline. Third, direct to owner outreach is a long game. The owner who is not ready today may call you in 18 months. Consistency and a good CRM are your only tools here. And fourth, build the weekly routine and protect it. 20 years from now, the investors who have consistent deal flow will be the ones who did the boring, consistent work every week when others stopped. I'm Ryan Solberg, real estate broker with MaxLife Commercial, license number 33541. If you have questions about anything in this course or want to talk through a deal you're looking at, call us at 321 586 2121 or head to maxlifedevelopment.com/academy for the full course library. The next course is Due Diligence Deep Dive. We'll see you there.